If you go around asking what you can do to fight climate change, you'll probably hear that you should write to your representatives. Bill Gates says it, AOC says it,
You need to call your senator, you need to call your elected official.
Hank Green,
And the nutty thing is these letters actually matter.
and annoying activists on social media. But each member of the House has about 700,000 constituents, and senators represent entire states. They get so many messages every day. So, does one person writing in actually change anything? To find out, I talked to a congressional intern who has processed constituent input. I talked to a climate activist who has a direct contact with her representative and writes to Congress all the time. And I read a bunch of articles and reports, links in the description below. So first of all, whether it's an email, a postcard, or a phone call, somebody is going to see what you sent in. It's just probably going to be a junior staffer. On top of everything else that they do, congressional interns and legislative correspondents are in charge of talking to constituents on the phone, reading everything that comes in, and logging it in the office's database. One of the reasons they do this is to get back to each and every person who reaches out, which they surprisingly usually do. But I was curious how often the representative actually uses that data to make important decisions. So I asked my friend Alex, who was a congressional intern, and this is what he said.
So the representative will definitely use that information as well. It depends on how, and probably depends on the office too and the representative in question. But, sometimes the representative will come up and ask, what are people calling about today? How are the phones? In a meeting, a member might just be like, okay, so we're looking at doing this. What are the constituents saying? What's just the overall tally?
This is more or less what I found in my research, which is that if representatives feel really strongly about something, it's unlikely that any amount of letters will actually change their mind and make them do a complete 180 on that issue. But constituent feedback absolutely does come up as a data point when they're trying to make important policy decisions. One thing that AOC brought up in her video that I thought was super interesting is that representatives absolutely do rely on constituent feedback to prioritize. And if they don't get messages about a particular issue, they might just move on because they feel that their constituents don't care about it.
I'm telling you, I hear all the time people say, oh, I don't need to support minimum wage, Medicare for all, Green New Deal. I don't need immigration reform, DACA, whatever. I don't need to support it because I don't get calls on it. My district doesn't call me about that.
This all brings me to one piece of advice I got from climate activist Teresa Welch about just making sure that your message is heard.
If enough contacts come in a short period of time about the same issue, it gets bumped straight up to the member of Congress, and he or she hears about it. So for me, that's why I like to do my contacts as part of some kind of group calling campaign, because that way I know that my voice is a lot more likely to be heard, and my voice is making sure that other people's voices are likely to be heard too. So I think when they get a big batch of constituents saying the same thing, they do listen.
This is something that Alex told me as well, which is that if a lot of people are calling in about the same thing at the same time, it's more likely to get the congressperson's attention. You just have to make sure that you're customizing your message, as form letters are noticed immediately and not given the same amount of weight. So, does writing to Congress actually do anything? Let's do a little recap. First of all, your representative's office is going to listen to what you said and log it in their database. Second of all, that data does come up when they're making important policy decisions. Finally, one easy way to do this is by joining a calling campaign or email list, as long as you're customizing your message. So,
It's never a bad idea to reach out to your representative.
It matters. It really does.
It's not just self-congratulatory or anything like that, but it legitimately helps me prioritize.
my next couple videos are going to go more into depth about how to write to Congress. I'm going to go into how to make sure that your letter or phone call is as effective as it can possibly be. I'm going to talk about how you can stay informed on upcoming legislation. Then I'm going to share some success stories about people like Teresa who have gone above and beyond to build relationships with their representatives and who have actually changed their mind on some really important stuff. So if you're interested in these things, please stay tuned, and thank you so much for watching.